Okay, I'm going to continue along with the same idea. Um, but you know, if I'm going to go with the feeling of that sort of creamy, warm look, not too strongly defined lines and what have you, I think I'm going to wash this in with the, I'm going to approximate the colors, at least on the bottom part um, that I want. And I'd like the painting to be fairly warm, but I'm actually going to wash in with purples. Maybe the painting will have, in general, a purple feel to it. I don't know. I think that can look pretty good. So we'll see. I know purple. Just to say purple doesn't sound very professional, does it? I don't care. It's still purple. And I'm not going to have these lines, accentuated all over the place. That's really not the idea here. These lines will be gone if I, follow up on my threats at least. For the most part, they'll be gone. For the most part, they will disappear. Okay, that's very blue. That's too blue. That's bluer than I like. Let me add a little bit of raw umber to that. And a bit of alizarin crimson. Okay, and now let me not worry too much about it. Now I'm just going to take some white and a bit of yellow ochre, dirtied with the paint that I've already used here. I think we'll just get rid of that tree on that side. So I'm not worrying about smearing stuff around. It's okay. It's okay. Because I think that if I, once I get the knife in here, I'm just going to be smearing more stuff around. Kind of toying with ideas as I go along here. I have a mental picture of what I'd like, but I do not want it to be too rigid. If I think that way, then I'll constrain myself from my own creativity. That's never a very good idea. We're not trying to put a cap on creativity. Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? And it's fluid. It can change as we move through a painting. Trying to make this atmospheric. Okay, now we're going to throw a little bit of ultramarine blue in here. And a little bit of alizarin crimson. This tree is way off in the distance, and it looks like it just doesn't know what it wants to do. So let's force the issue a little bit. You know, again, we're going over all this. But if I stuff this idea in there, maybe I'll keep using it. Now, before I go too far down here, what if we were to just pop up here for a moment and pick up the possibility of some vapor. I'm not going to make it too strong because we're washing in. Okay, so this, you know, this ridge is only barely definable. This one is closer, more definable, but between here and there, we have high humidity, I guess you could simply say. Okay, back to the cobalt blue. I'm just throwing it right in on top of everything else. There's maybe a little too much white there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Believe it or not, I'm not getting too concerned with color. Mostly I want to drop my values. Mostly I want to drop my values. Sorry about the phlegmy throat there. Okay, I do have too much white on my palette. Let me just bring us back to a little bit darker stuff. I have a swatch of ultramarine blue on my palette. I'll just use that up with some raw umber and get the foreground looking a little darker here. I don't want to put fresh paint on my palette. It's very possible that I do not paint tomorrow. So I don't just want to have raw paint sitting on my palette overnight and through the day tomorrow. Yes, I know, I could put it in the freezer. Sorry, I disagree. It changes the feel of everything. You start to introduce moisture into your piles of paint, and I just don't do that. There aren't too many tricks that I haven't heard of. And the biggest trick I use is the fact that I paint every day. Okay, that's a bit of a mess, eh? I like it. Let's add some white to it. So now we have ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and a little bit of umber. I don't want to get too scrubby. My brush is actually still fairly new, but it's so new that I don't mind wearing out the shoulders a little bit to round it off. Just a bit, just a little bit. Okay, we're going for the feel of things. We're not going so much for a scene as we are for a feel. And that's on the way. I think that's on the way. Yeah, atmospheric. Okay. I guess I better just give my palette a little wipe. And give my brush a little wipe. And square off the camera. Well, that's very different now, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to call that a good start. Talk to you soon, guys.